Kimberly Dozier, CNN Global Affairs Analyst and Senior National Security Correspondent for the Daily Beast. Kimberly, let's start on North Korea if we can and work our way back to France if there's time. On North Korea, this American detained in the midst of all this other tension right now, U.S. military exercise, the idea of another nuclear test. Is the timing here just a coincidence, or is this a bargaining chip?
Well, look at what happened the last time North Korea had 3 Americans in custody. They got the Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper, to visit. That was one of the last times you saw sort of a trade in return for Pyongyang getting recognized in its terms as a power to be reckoned with a visit from a top U.S. official. Could it be hoping for the same thing this time around? Just possibly. I mean, today we had Nikki Haley, the ambassador to the UN, speaking on another network and drawing what sounds like a red line, the first red line that we reporters have been pushing for. And that seems to have ratcheted up the tension. And we've got a phone call from the Chinese premier to Donald Trump saying, hey, let's ease back on this. I think what we're seeing is that the Chinese are trying to tell Washington, we understand what you need us to do with Pyongyang, but you haven't yet given us the time to do it. And this momentum is picking up pace.
So, Kimberly, it seems like the red line that Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, was drawing was a strike on a military base and or a launch of another, an ICBM test. But she also talked this morning in that interview about pressure ratcheting up that she believes that Kim Jong-un is feeling. Listen.
He's very much feeling the pressure. I think you're starting to see him get very paranoid. And I think you're seeing pressure come from all parts of the international community. And I think we just have to keep the pressure up.
What do you see as the evidence that he is feeling pressure?
Well, the fact that they've basically got pressure on China to do things like stop some of their coal imports, that China is trying to send an envoy to North Korea to have behind-the-scenes discussions that apparently aren't yet going very well. So from the White House point of view, from Ambassador Haley's point of view, this pressure is working. But it looks like from the phone call from the Chinese premier that they're watching some dangerous building blocks get into position. The American ships getting close to North Korea, being joined by Japanese warships. The danger of a miscalculation rises. We're also right ahead of a major North Korean holiday tomorrow where they might have another nuclear test, probably a nuclear test because if they have another missile test, there's a risk of a failure. If you have an underground nuclear test, nobody quite knows what went right and what went wrong.
All right, very big couple of days to watch there. Quickly on France, this great worldwide debate between nationalism and globalism. We're seeing it play out in France today and over the next 2 weeks, and there's a feeling, at least among investors in sort of the global watchers, that globalism might win.
Well, it looks like every major political party, including the major head of Muslims in the nation, are calling for France to vote for Macron and against Le Pen. So we're going to get an answer about which way France is going to go as a nation at its heart. Is it going to embrace globalism and a chance to include all members of society? Or is it going to go with Le Pen, who's called on things like banishing all dual nationals? You'd have to choose between France or another European nation. You could be a dual national of another European nation, but that is a bad signal to both French Muslims and French Jews who have, say, a passport from Israel.
Kimberly Dozier, thank you so much. We'll be watching that, of course, the election May 7th coming up soon. And still to come for us, the president promising a, quote, big announcement, a big one on tax reform on Wednesday. Really? Where are the details? That's next.